Hi guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Aitza and I talk about travel, personal finance, books, and just being black in Spain and black womanhood in general. And if you're not new, thanks for coming back and listening to me ramble. Today I will be talking about budgeting as an Auxiliares de Conversacion in Spain and how I make my money stretch and how I save and navigate all that. So let's get started. So, background. I live in Galicia, which is the northwestern region of Spain. We're right above Portugal. It's referred to as the Scotland of Spain. It's very green. It's rainy. There's mountains and the red cows. Very much like what you would picture Scotland to be like. And because of that, it's more of a rural area and not as inhabited by people, although now we're seeing an influx due to refugees from African countries and also Latin American countries. So the demographic and the population is kind of growing, but still not as populated as other parts of Spain. But because of this, it is the lowest cost of living in Spain, which is to my advantage for what I make and making my money last longer. So Galicia pays us 935 euros a month to work 16 hours a week. Technically 16 hours, but depending on where your school is, you may be there all day because of rides and things like that, but technically 16 hours a week. And that is broken down on par or a little bit above the minimum wage in Spain, and we just got an increase this year because before we were getting 700 euros a month to work 12 hours a week. So they gave us 4 more hours a week and we got 235 more euros a month. Yeah, so that's nice. And what I've been doing with this pay increase is just taking that 235 and acting like it's not there and still living off what I was last year. So I'm going to go over how I lived off of 700 because a lot of regions still do only get 700 euros a month. And their cost of living isn't as low. I know Madrid gives you, I think, 1,000 euros. I will type it here if I'm wrong. In the Valencia region, they get 835 or 850. In some of the other regions too, they make a little bit more, and they also work 16 hours a week. The good thing about being in Galicia is that 90% of us are employed by the community, which is Xunta, and because of that, we get paid on time. Other areas, they typically get paid later, and that affects like budgeting and being able to pay for things like that. So yes, that's a good thing, being paid on time. Actually, we're normally paid early, and there's a couple times when we got paid on the first, like we're supposed to, and we were like, where's the money? Why haven't they paid us yet? Why haven't you paid us on time as opposed to not paying us early? But yeah, so that's how it works here. So my rent is 400 a month for an entire apartment, and I live with 2 other people, and so we split it 3 ways. So that's 134 a person, rounding up. And then our internet is rounded up $16, 16 euros a person, because we split it 3 ways, and it's like 1580 something. So we just round up. The water is roughly 18 euros, and the electricity and gas is roughly 20 euros. So in total, I would say I approximately spend about 200 euro a month on rent and utilities, approximately, or gastos as they're referred to. And that just kind of depends on like how much someone is in the apartment. Now our gas is higher because it's winter, so we have the heat on, the radiator on. We can control ours, so we try to keep it low. If it's not too cold, and just heat the piece up and then let it be. And it should be lower this last month because most of us are gone for like 3 weeks for the holidays. So everything was empty, so it should be done. I'm actually the first one back right now. And as far as transportation goes, the bus here costs 85 cents one way. But if you are an auxiliar, you can apply for your transportation card, and then you get that half off, so it's 43 cents. And so like one full journey, like back and forth, would be 85 cents or 86 cents. And you can go to the bank and get your transportation card, and you can use it like you would something in the ATM, and I put €5 on it. Technically like once a week, but I don't use it as often, but I like to still have the money on it. So we'll say I put in €20 for transportation a month. Not bad. And as far as food goes, I budget about €200 for food. And I'm saying this with the caveat that I eat more expensive things. So for example, the kind of bread I go and get sliced honey wheat bread. That's more expensive. I drink milk drink, not real milk, which is more expensive. I spend about €1.50, €1.80 on oat milk. I eat the alternative yogurts, which is a bit more expensive, so like €2 for that. And I'll buy that like twice a month. I like my chicken, not so much pork, and then like seafood, so that's a bit more expensive as well. I get the nice basmati jasmine rice, which is more expensive than your regular rice. So I splurge on food, so that's more expensive. And I drink ciders and wines, and sometimes I'll get like a craft beer, like one of the lambic Belgian beers as well, like a creek. I'm not saying that right. It's a cherry beer or some kind of like fruity beer if I don't want a cider. And so that's typically more expensive. But on average, I know people who are spending like $150 a month on groceries. So that's not bad. But for me, I budget $200. We're going out, because here, pinchos and tapas, you can get like a tinto de verano or a sangria, depending on where you go. Like €1.50, maybe €2, depending. A caña or a cerveza is like €1.50. Estrella Galicia, which is a very common beer, but I don't drink beer like that. I believe you can get it for $1.50. Maybe a caña is €1. I don't know. But then like going out for pinchos, or tapas, I typically don't spend more than like €10 going out. And I try to put €10 aside each week for that. Or let's say €50 a month for that. For like going out and stuff. And then my phone bill, I just recently increased. I have Vodafone, and it is €20 a month. I get 10 gigs of data, 60 minutes of talk time, and my data it comes with a social pass, so using social media sites, Messenger, like WhatsApp, things like WeChat, stuff like that. It doesn't use your data. And a lot of times I'll tether my iPad or I'll tether my US phone to get faster data and things of that nature if I'm out and about. So that's €20 a month. And there are plans for €15, even €10. It just depends on your needs and what you want to do with your phone. I like having data because sometimes I'm traveling and I'm teaching online classes, and it's nice to be able to hotspot my iPad. So I look at it like that. And let's see, what else? Like that's all my Spain stuff. I don't have student loans. I do still have my U.S. phone number, which I pay for. Um, I typically transfer money because I like to buy my groceries with my credit card, my U.S. credit card, to get cash back and things like that. I have title streaming. I have iCloud. I have what else do I have? I have title. I have iCloud. I have Adobe for photo editing and things like that, video editing. I have Microsoft Cloud for more storage space, which I know is ridiculous. And then Netflix and then HBO. So in total for like streaming and things like that, that's another like 75 euro approximately. And then my storage unit back home, which is like 83 US dollars. So after I spend everything, I have about 200 to play with. And that goes to my travel fund or just general savings, or if I want to go shopping, it's just my discretionary fund. And that's good enough for me. But some people are like, you can't live like that, which is true. So I do private lessons. And that is how I make side hustle money. So with my private lessons, I make 100 euro a week if I have all of them. And it's 5 lessons. Yeah, 5. If I don't, then I make 80 euro a week. So I'm losing 20 if one of my regulars doesn't show. And her schedule is very flexible. And most of my lessons are just conversation based, and just talking to people, improving their English. Sometimes if they have an exam coming up, we'll do test prep and things like that. And all of these I got from other people. So none of these are students who are at my school, but I have pals who have students from their school who they do private lessons with. But I have private lessons with the kids at one of the private schools, and then the moms and the dads, they talk and they're like, oh, do you have time for this, time for that, blah, blah, blah. So all but one of my students comes from the same school, and a couple of them are siblings or they're friends. So very, very close-knit. And that's nice. And I put that away as for savings or for traveling that like pays for my plane tickets, or pays off my credit cards where I paid for the plane tickets to get the cash back or to get my travel points. So that's nice as well. That's a nice little perk as well. And it really depends on how flexible you are, how much time you want to dedicate to that, and what you want to do. Like I know some people who are making like another grand from private lessons, which I'm like, how do you have time to live or just breathe and just pause? I took more private lessons this year because I am one of the few unlucky people who has to work 5 days a week instead of having a day off like most people, because I spend 3 days in the city and 2 days in my pueblo. And in my pueblo, I get back very late, and I'm there during my peak hours for online teaching because I do VIP kid, and I don't make as much as I did before. So I increase my private lessons to supplement that income. And there are trade-offs, but I still like it. But Galicia in particular is a very easy place to live, and depending on what you want to do and what you want to eat and how social you are, it is very easy to save money and to travel around. I look for things like, instead of flying out of Vigo or Santiago, which are the 2 airports closest to me in Galicia. There's also A Coruña, but it's further. I'll travel to Porto, where it takes me a bit longer to get there than going to Vigo or Santiago, which is like an hour or hour and a half. Well, Santiago, yes. Depending on if I take the train, Santiago is like an hour away too, or BlaBlaCar, or like an hour and 15. But I go down to Porto, where I'll save more money on a flight. So it's like, which is more important to me, depending on my time or my money. Sometimes time wins, sometimes money wins, sometimes flexibility and travel dates wins. But I always have money left over, which I like. which is very convenient because you never know when an emergency or something like that is going to pop up. And so I always say save, because you also don't know when your private lessons will cancel on you, if you'll get sick, things like that. I've had to shift things around this year. I have to get a lot of dental work done. I'll be getting Invisalign, so my teeth will be moved over, and that's gonna cost me like maybe 2,000 euro, which is doable because I could just take my savings from my private lessons and put it there. But all my other dental work I've had done, like I've had my wisdom teeth pulled and stuff like that, that's been free. And cleanings and x-rays, I haven't had to pay for any of that. So we have very good dental. But like I have to pay for contacts, and my contacts are much cheaper here than they are in the US. That's another thing, but I buy those every 6 months, and I spend like, I don't know, like 80, like 60 euro. Yeah, like 30. Yeah, like 60 euro, which is cheaper than what I would pay in the US. In the US, for a 6-month supply, I'm spending like 90 USD. So, cheaper. So yeah, there are trade-offs and things like that. Like I said, it could be difficult with private lessons, but in Galicia, you are able to live a comfortable life, not anything flashy on this budget. Other regions I can't talk about because I don't live there. I may move to Madrid next year, depending on what happens for grad school, and that would be different. I would have to have at least, I would say, living in Madrid, I would come with at least 4K, maybe 3K saved, because they typically get paid much later. And you have to think about when you're moving somewhere, you have to put down a deposit, and maybe, and then your first month's rent, groceries, setting up, doing all that. So come prepared if you're thinking about doing this. Because it'll make all the difference. You hear horror stories all the time of people not getting paid in their regions and having to ask their teachers or their schools to loan them money and they pay them back when the checks come through. And that's just no way to live. It's an irritant, but it's Spain. No pasa nada. No pasa nada, but I can't tell my landlord that. I can't tell my dueña that. I can't tell the people who have to pay, oh, my job hasn't paid me. No pasa nada. I'll pay you when I can. No, it doesn't work like that. So come prepared, come saved. But I will say for Galicia, unless you're being paid by the ministry, which is a small amount of people, you're going to get paid on time. You're going to get paid enough because cost of living is so low here. And between what I was making and my private lessons and working online last year, I was able to take 1 trip a month, save some money, still be able to replace my whole wardrobe, which is another story. So it's not, you can survive. You'll have a good life here. You'll have a sociable life here. But yeah, that's all I have to say. I hope this is helpful to you. Let me know if you have any questions or concerns about anything. I will be happy to help you in any way I can. If you're thinking about going through the process, feel free to message me, comment below, hit me up on social media. I try to get back to people. And I'll see you next time. Remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. Ciao!